All right, so we are recording. So thank you so much for being here today. If we've not yet met, I'm Stephanie Montgomery with Build a Brain, and I was just talking to Claire and Teresa backstage, and one of the things I'm so excited about our new social learning platform, the Build a Brain project, is that we can have conversations like we're going to have today with our community leaders, experts in the field, healthcare providers, and even mayors and government, because we really want to bring the information to our families and communities to be able to build bridges and to make resources more accessible to our families. So delighted to have Claire with us today. And she is just a wealth of expertise. When we were doing some preliminary conversations before the call, I was just so fascinated by some of the information that she was sharing with me about safe sleep. And one thing that's really important to me as we talk with families and communities is helping to explain the why behind some of the directives or some of the things that we're told to do. I know when I was a parent and raising my two sons, I tried to do what my pediatrician and what my mom and grandmother, told me to do, but I didn't always understand the why. And I think that you'll find as you listen to Claire share today that you'll understand a little bit more around the why of safe sleep practices so that we can make better decisions knowing that. So I'll stop talking now, Claire, and I would love it if you would introduce yourself and the role that you serve at Healthy Start and anything else that's pertinent to the conversation, and then just kind of take it from there.
Okay. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for having me. So my name is Claire Kirchharr. I'm the Associate Director for Escambia County Healthy Start Coalition. If you're not familiar with Healthy Start, we are a one-on-one parenting program that is both federal and statewide. So in the state of Florida, where we are, every county in the state of Florida has a Healthy Start. And it is partnering families with a health educator, with a social worker, a family support worker that can work with them through the entire prenatal period and then up until age 3 to do parenting education, developmental screenings. And really the goal of the program is to make sure moms and our families feel supportive in their parenting journey. We work with fathers as well through our fatherhood program. And every coalition has a little bit of a different program and resources. So I encourage you to look at Healthy Start wherever you are and what programs might be available. And one of our big programs is to talk about safe sleep. So many people are familiar with SIDS, and really SIDS as being the inexplicable infant death tragedy that happens when a baby is sleeping is pretty rare. What we found more commonly is that there's some element of an unsafe sleep environment. And oftentimes the parents don't even realize that they had an element of an unsafe sleep. And so we really work to educate parents on safe sleep, what that means, and how to make sure safe sleep is accessible to you. And so today I kind of have here we'll talk about what is the ABCs of safe sleep, which is our basic messaging, and then some of kind of the common myths and facts we hear in our work with new parents, and kind of helping reassure families that might be listening about what are some alternatives, or dispel some of those misinformation that might be on social media or out there in the world. Stephanie, if you have any questions or want to bring anything up, please jump in at any time.
Sure. Well, Claire, I think that's perfect. Social media is a primary source of information for many of us right now. So again, that's why I appreciate you so much being here to dispel some of the things that we may be hearing and seeing that may not be accurate. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So what is safe sleep? And really the easiest way to remember it is we call it the ABCs of safe sleep. And that means babies should be alone on their back in a crib, very plain and simple. By alone, that means that you're not sleeping with siblings, not sleeping with parents. Those are the most common people we see, but also that they're alone in terms of there's no blankets, no bumper pads, anything like that in there with them. Always on their back, never on their front or their side. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute here. And then always in a crib. Now, crib could also mean bassinet. It could mean a side sleeper, a snoo. It just means in their own sleeping environment on a firm, flat surface. We even encourage parents, if they are coming home, maybe they had baby unexpectedly, they haven't been able to get that crib yet, a laundry basket. It's a firm, flat surface. So there are temporary options. We at Healthy Start often provide pack and plays. They are a fantastic option for parents that maybe can't afford a crib, don't have the space for a crib. Pack and plays are also portable, and so they can allow families that maybe have mom living in one place, dad living in another, get a pack and play, and it's a really easy, safe sleep environment that can be modable depending on your situation. So the first myth that we hear a lot is if my baby sleeps on their back, they'll choke on their spit, they have reflux and that kind of thing. And so really though, when a baby's on their back, their trachea is above their esophagus. And so because of their gag reflex, spit, vomit, all of that is actually going to flow down away from their airway. So that's not going to happen. A baby won't choke because they're on their back. This is a fantastic graph we like to show that's from the CDC that shows kind of how that lays. So your trachea is the tubes to the lungs. That's where the baby might be at risk of choking. And your esophagus is the tube to the stomach. That's where that spit up's going to come. So when they're on their back, that's it can't get up and restrict their breathing. When they're on their stomach, they actually are at more risk for something happening, not only because that spit up, but also because of something called rebreathing. And there's some phenomenal resources out there. I've got some at the end of the video of some really great resources families can check out for more safe sleep. And one of them is from the Cribs for Kids Academy. And they have a really fantastic video that shows this concept of rebreathing, where basically when the baby is on their stomach and not on that firm flat surface, air can come out and then travel back in and cause actually more issues and increase that suffocation hazard. So we always want baby on their back, even if they're concerned for spit up or choking or anything like that. Obviously, always talk to your child's pediatrician if you're ever concerned. And there are some very rare cases where they might recommend some type of different sleeping position. So always talk to the pediatrician. But really, in general, you're always going to want that baby on the back, and that myth that they'll choke if they're on their back just simply isn't true. The other one we hear a lot is, well, my baby's rolling over, so they're going to sleep on their stomach anyway. They seem to like sleeping on their stomach, so I'm just going to put them on there to begin with. And really the difference is, though, that once babies have gotten a little bit of strength to roll over, they also have the strength to turn their head. And so if they are having a risk of suffocation, they can get themselves out of that situation a little bit better. And so that's why they're at a little bit of a less risk once they can turn over. However, we always still want to place them on their back to start with, because that risk of rebreathing, that risk of suffocation is still there. And also that some babies have maybe less of an alert system than others. And so that really also can affect whether or not a baby's at risk for a suffocation hazard, is their ability to arouse themselves. And you don't know necessarily, you think you know how quickly your baby can arouse, but you don't necessarily. So we want to always place them on their back to start, but it's okay if they roll themselves over. So if they roll on their back once they're asleep, you don't need to worry about repositioning them, but you always want to go ahead and start with that back position. One of the other ones is my baby will be cold without a blanket. And so especially in the winter, we see parents want to put a bunch of blankets on their back. But blankets are the #1 suffocation hazard we see locally and really across the country in terms of what is going to unfortunately lead to an unsafe situation. And so especially when babies start to become wiggly and they kind of move themselves out. So when you have a newborn, you're going to swaddle your baby, and that's totally fine. They don't have the strength to make that blanket able to become a suffocation hazard. But once they become a little bit more wiggly, they start stretching themselves out, that swaddle does become a sleep hazard because that blanket becomes loose. They can accidentally move it over their face. And so what we really encourage these days is these sleep sacks. These are a fantastic option to keep baby warm. And they make long sleeve versions as well as short sleeves like the one in this picture. And so these are going to keep baby warm without causing that suffocation risk. So these are one of our #1 recommendations for families. Put on those registries, ask for from friends and family is these sleep sacks. An important caveat, though, is to never use weighted sleep sacks. We see those on the market as being promised to help keep baby more calm, to help give them a sense of safety, but those actually can also restrict baby's movement and be a safety hazard. One thing I didn't put in here as a myth, but I definitely see out there is that, well, if I can buy it on Amazon, if I can buy it online, it's safe to use. But that's not true. So in 2021, the legislation nationwide, there was a Safe Sleep Act put forth that banned bumper pads and inclined sleepers for babies. So you can no longer buy bumper pads because we know those have dramatically can increase the risk of an unsafe sleep situation. Babies roll over and get themselves stuck up against that bumper pad and then can't get themselves out and they suffocate. And also inclined sleepers. So inclined sleeper that kind of like a bouncer, but made for sleep. Baby's head would tilt down and would restrict the airways. So both of those things cannot be manufactured or sold in the US. However, they can still be found on Amazon. They can still be found on sites like Temu and things like that, because we don't have control over those other countries. Now, consumer safety does a really great job at trying to get those items off the market, but they're still out there. So make sure you do your research on any type of baby product you're buying. Don't assume that just because it's available for sale that it's necessarily safe for baby. This is another one we see a lot is I'm a light sleeper, so it's okay for baby to sleep with me. I'll know if they need me and that kind of thing. But even light sleepers can have an instant roll onto baby. We especially see mamas who are on their second or third baby and often choose to co-sleep and think, I'm a light sleeper, but you're also more likely to be sleep deprived. And so you may think you're a light sleeper, but if you had a really hard day with the toddler in the house, you maybe not be as light a sleeper as you think. And so that's still a chance for rolling over onto baby. Unfortunately, we do see that happen. Also, being a light sleeper doesn't reduce the chance of the baby becoming trapped or suffocated by your bedding or your mattress, and it's often silent. So parents think, well, I would hear my baby if they were suffocating or if something was happening, but that's not always true. And it's not just the blankets. So, one thing we see is parents, well, I just won't sleep with any blankets around me. And so then there's nothing for the baby to get trapped in. But even just the mattress itself, it may not feel that soft to us, but to the baby it is. And so that's why it's not just sleeping on their own, but we said a firm flat surface. So that firm surface really matters. And most adult beds are not that as firm as we'd like to think they are. So we really encourage room sharing, not bed sharing. These bedside sleepers, like in this picture, are a great option because it allows you to have baby close. Most commonly, we see breastfeeding mamas want to co-sleep, and that's fantastic. Breastfeeding has been found to reduce risks of SIDS. However, it also increases the risk, though, of falling asleep with baby on the chest or things like that. So we really encourage breastfeeding mamas to get yourself out of bed, to make yourself uncomfortable at that 2 a.m. feeding, which I know is hard, but it's going to reduce the risk of you accidentally falling back asleep and leaving baby in a dangerous position. And so bedside sleepers are great, though, for easily kind of soothing baby and then being able to put them right back next to you. And so looking into options like this, where baby's in the room for you, easily accessible, but still in their own sleep space. And then we also see is, well, my baby naps in the car seat all the time. So even when we're out of the car, I'm just going to let them finish their nap in that car seat. But really, that's also a dangerous thing because the longer a baby's in the car seat, the more of a chance they're going to slip downward a little bit and can collapse their airways. So you can see here, this chin to chest is what we really worry about. When they're chin to chest, they block their airways and can increase that suffocation hazard. So the longer they're in their car seat, the more of a risk their head's going to droop down. And so we really recommend that once you get out of the car after a drive, if baby's still asleep, work to gently kind of move them into that safe sleep space rather than leaving them in their car seat. It's really tempting, I know, but again, it's just not worth the risk if something were to happen. And so this is that resource I was mentioning earlier. The Safe Sleep Academy is from a company called Cribs for Kids. They are a fantastic resource for both professionals and parents. So Safe Sleep Academy has 12 steps for the first 12 months, and it's kind of an expanded version of that ABC. So it's 12 steps parents can take that is to keep their baby sleeping safely for that first 12 months. It has a lot of tips and tricks for those common issues like, well, my baby doesn't like to sleep alone. It can give you some resources from other parents of what they did to make sure they were keeping baby safe while also comfortable. It also has resources for professionals. If you are an organization that's trying to talk more about safe sleep with your families, it has different materials you can purchase. It's got cribs you can buy, so you can actually source cribs from this company, and also different outreach materials. So I really recommend visiting Cribs for Kids and the Safe Sleep Academy for further resources. And then finally, just some parent resources if you're here in Florida. So in Florida, we have called the Sleep Baby Safely campaign. It's across the country, it's across the state, different organizations like Healthy Start here in Escambia. If you're here in Escambia County and you don't have a safe sleep space for your baby, give me a call. My email and phone number are here. We work with parents to make sure they have that safe sleep space that they need for baby. And there's lots of organizations like us across the state. And so the Sleep Baby Safely site can show you what organization in your county is a safe sleep champion, like Healthy Start is, and can get you in touch with how to get those safe sleep resources. So Stephanie, that is all I have. I don't know if you have any questions, or Teresa, you have anything that I can help with.
Yeah, well, Claire, you did an amazing job. It was very informative. And Teresa, I don't know about you, but there were several things, Claire, that you mentioned that I was like, ooh, I might have done that with my boys when I was raising them almost 30 years ago. So again, that's the reason that we want to have agencies, experts share this information, because we can't be expected as parents or grandparents or foster parents to know everything. But if we can bring it to our families so they're better informed, then that can make a difference in a child's life. So one, thank you for that. Love the Sleep Academy resource. One of the reasons that I wanted to have you join us, Claire, was we have created curriculum based on kind of ages and stages with our family. So we just launched a prenatal curriculum, and one of the areas within that prenatal journey is not only taking care of mom and baby's growth and development, the importance of prenatal visits, but how to prepare for safe bath time and safe sleep time. And so also in our newborn course, 0 to 6 months, there's also a reiteration of safe sleep practices. So I'm definitely going to go back and utilize some of the resources in safe sleep and put it into our coursework as well, because I think that's really important. You know, parents don't know these things, so it's good to have as much available to them as possible. So thank you for that. Yeah.
And for me, just having these resources really handy was helpful. Like Stephanie mentioned, there were so many things that having these refreshers. I had 3 girls. I was super tired. I was a breastfeeding mom, but also being able to share them with people that love me so much and love my girls so much. But we just have new information, and I know that they were wanting to care for my girls the same way that they cared for their own children. So, but whether that was grandparents who were the ones watching my little ones when they were babies, but being able to share these resources just because we have new information, and maybe they were caring for their own babies and their babies were fine, but they did lay them on their stomach in a really soft, fuzzy environment because they really did want them to be warm and cuddly and, so bundled up. But how to share this in a place that's not judgmental, and not that they were bad caregivers. So that's one of the things that I really appreciate, having these resources to be able to cascade to, that loving grandparent or that caregiver or the foster parent that hasn't parented or been a caregiver in quite some time, but really does love and want to provide the best care. So thanks again for sharing these resources, because I think there's so many people that are really coming from a place of love and wanting to do just the best and care for all of our kids the same way that they care for their own. And just we have new resources and new information of how to keep our kids safe.
Absolutely. And you bring up a great point, Teresa, about that multi-generational. And we really encourage that any parent make sure that not just, a lot of times our sleep messaging, mom hears it at the doctor's office, but maybe dad doesn't know it, or maybe, grandparents don't know it. And so really making sure everyone around you is informed on safe sleep and knows this information. I know down in South Florida, I've heard of a Head Start office that in the classroom, they do safe sleep. And so those siblings know, so they don't go put a blanket in with baby because they think baby's cold. And we've really worked on that. We have a really cute little baby doll and a crib. Her name is Sasha, and we'll do outreach events and we'll ask families, little kids come over and we say, well, how would you put baby in a crib? And we have the sibling put baby in the crib. And then we talk to them about, well, do you like sleeping with a blanket, but little sister can't. And so really finding those ways to connect. And in terms of, we see a lot of, well, my grandma said that I slept better on my stomach and things like that. And one of the things we always kind of reference is like car seats, that, well, our car seat safety has dramatically changed. The car seat I was in the 90s is dramatically different than my mom's and dramatically different than my nieces and nephews. But we know better, so we can do better. And safe sleep's the same way. Just like we've improved our car seat safety, we improve our sleep safety for our babies.
I love that. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. This was very informative. Can't wait to get this out and share this with more people. We'll definitely put in the community, and then when this is shared online, a way to get back in touch with you if an agency is interested in an outreach event, if it's an individual wanting to know more information, or just as a way to get access to maybe a crib or pack and play or a safe sleep environment. So thank you so much for being here, and look forward to the next time that we can get together.
Absolutely. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Bye, ladies.